Well, I guess we know what happens when I hit the wrong button there, don't we? Mm, man, oh man, oh man. Oh, anyway, good morning. Good morning. It is Tuesday. I am just sitting back and sort of enjoying the morning as usual. I actually slept in a little bit earlier. I woke up at 3:30 and it's like, nah, I shut my alarm off and went back to bed until 4:30. So I got an extra hours of sleep that I normally don't get, but what the hey. There's something that I don't know about here. All right. And I haven't looked that hard at it, to be honest. It's one of those things that we all know is happening, and we see it, we hear about it on the news, and until our government gets involved, we don't pay because we got so much crap going on here in the states that you know dealing with what's going on with other countries sometimes sort of falls to the wayside. You know, this mess between Iran and Israel. Obviously, Israel being the only Jewish state in the world, nestled among all the Muslim countries, has to look very askew at everything. And Iran has not been very nice, to say the very least. They've been openly hostile in the way that they support Hezbollah, Hamas, and other terrorist organizations or organizations that just are not um they're just openly hostile to Israel and to Jews. Yesterday, Trump issued uh, a strongly worded suggestion that if you live in Iran and you're an American citizen, to get back here to the States ASAP. Then he left the G12 meetings in Canada and came back to the US early. Tulsi Gabbard gave a press conference not too long ago, which she said that Iran was not close to building a nuclear bomb. And Trump has openly said that he thinks she's wrong. He's contradicting his own people. So, ladies and gents, uh, my opinion on the media. I don't trust them worth a damn. I don't trust them to tell us anything near the truth because they all want to spin their own little opinions and tell us that that's the truth because they know better than us. And, they're going to tell us what they think the truth is with all their open biases. They don't even bother to hold their bias anymore. And the media is anti Israel, anti Jew. And how do I know that? Simple. Just look at the way they treated the anti Jewish, pro Palestinian protests here in the United States. If those same protests had been anti black or anti Hispanic, the media had been all over condemning them as racist. But since it was anti Israel and anti Jew, they had no problem with it. So again, I don't trust the media to tell me anything 100% true between the two. CNN, this is what CNN has to say. Everything you need to know about Iran's nuclear program. This is from the 13th, so it's not that old. After decades of threats, Israel on Friday launched audacious, look at the language, audacious attack on Iran targeting its nuclear sites, scientists, and military leaders. Again, we've got to pay attention to the language being used. It's the language that keys you in as to the position the media is taking. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the operation has struck at the head of Iran's nuclear weaponization program. But international assessments, including by the U.S. intelligence community, the same U.S. intelligence community that, you know, said that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. They say that Iran's nuclear program isn't currently weaponized. Tehran has also repeatedly insisted it isn't building a bomb. Still, that doesn't mean it couldn't if it chose to. At least they're honest about that. Iran, and would you put it past Iran to not be building a bomb? I sure wouldn't. Iran spent, I mean, why Iran has spent decades developing a nuclear program, and it sees it as a source of national pride and sovereignty. It maintains the program is solely for peaceful energy purposes and plans to build additional nuclear power plants to meet domestic energy needs and free up more oil for export. No other country has the kind of uranium that Iran currently does without also having a nuclear weapons program. That has fueled suspicions that Iran is being fully transparent about its intentions. Tehran has stockpiled weapons grade uranium as a bargaining chip in talks with the United States, repeatedly saying it would get rid of it if the U.S. led sanctions were lifted. Now, see, this is here is what you need to know. Really? See, now you going to tell us what we need to know, or you going to tell us what you want us to know? With the backing of the U.S., Iran started developing its nuclear program in the 1970s, but the U.S. pulled its support when the Shah was overthrown during the Islamic Revolution. Now, I'm not one to say U.S. Again, I'm against the United States being the police department of the world. Always have been. Well, not always have been, but I have been for a very long time. Just because of the simple fact, I'm tired of us um, being held responsible for everything that goes on in the world. We've got to go in and police this. We have to go police that. We have to go and give them money for this. We have to go give them money for that. We have to send our troops in to support them doing this. We got to send our people in to support them doing that. All that costs us money. Money that right now we just don't have. And that's how we get programs like USAID that are sending out millions of dollars for promoting sex changes in Mozambique, buying condoms for different countries, helping countries build DEI programs or television programming or comic books for transgenders or drag queen hours. And, they're sending our tax dollars out for doing this kind of nonsense because, well, it's the United States' job to do that. Our job to do that kind of stuff ended years ago. We've got no reason to be spending our money doing that. That's not to say that there are some countries in the world we do need to financially support and help out. And Israel is one of those countries that I firmly believe that the United States, it is our moral obligation to ensure that they're a safe country. That other countries are not going to come in and wipe them off the face of the planet simply because they are the only Jewish country in the world. And again, they are surrounded by Muslim countries. And Muslims, according to their Bible, according to their Quran, their holy word, their job is to destroy all Jews, wipe them off the face of the planet. Oh man, I'm out of tea. I didn't realize I drank the last of my tea. And therefore, I think, when Iran, a country that has been openly hostile to Israel, is developing nuclear weapons. And to me, and see, another problem, a problem I have with this whole idea, there is a legitimate question whether Iran would drop a nuke on Israel. Because a nuclear bomb, I mean, it's going to destroy more than just Israel. It's going to affect more than just Israel. Unless it's a very, very small bomb. But still, the radiation, the radioactive dust particles and such will spread much further than just Israel's borders. And unless you as an individual, as a country, so hate Israel on the other side that you're willing to risk poisoning your own people in order to wipe out another country. But stupid people do stupid things for stupid reasons. And religious fanatics will do the most stupid things. thinking that their deity will reward them for doing it. That their deity commands them to take such actions, regardless of the outcome to their own people. I does Iran have nuclear weapons? It's unclear how close Iran might actually be to building a nuclear bomb, if at all, but it's made significant progress in producing the key element, highly enriched uranium. In recent years, it's sharply reduced the time needed to reach weapon grade levels, now requiring just a week to produce enough for one bomb. I don't know, people. I'm going to be honest. I don't know. I haven't spent years studying this. I don't have access to more than what CNN and other news organizations are willing to tell us. I can just hope, I can just pray that Trump, Netanyahu, and the leaders of Iran and these other countries have a clue and are right in what they're doing. I don't want to see the United States involved in a nuclear war. I don't want to see the United States involved in a war, let alone a nuclear war. Most of us in this day and age, most of us in this country would not survive a year after such a thing happened. We don't have, and I'm including myself in this. We don't have the the gardens. We don't have the self-sufficiency. We rely on the truckers to bring us foods and supplies from other parts of the country, other parts of the world. We rely on the city's water treatment plants to put water in our homes. We don't have wells. We rely on the electric company to run all of our appliances. Most homes today don't even have a fireplace. Charcoal briquettes, what, you got 2, 3 bags in your garage? Maybe. So how much cooking are you gonna be able to do with that? How many people have the skill to go out and either fish or hunt for their food or forage for their food? So a nuclear bomb detonated in the United States, not a good idea for any of us. But what more can I say? All right. I got to pause here for just a second. Excuse me while I mute for Ah, much better. You didn't need to hear what I was going through right then. All right. So get away from the international stuff. Let's go to something here that should have been much bigger in the news and hasn't been. Well, good morning, Ramen. Yeah, I did have to mute there for about 30 seconds or so. Um, some good news, and if you saw uh, my thumbnail, you'll understand my thumbnail at this point. This is from the justice.gov. Justice Department announces results of Operation Restore Justice. This was from May 9th. On Wednesday this week, the Department of Justice announced the results of Operation Restore Justice, a coordinated effort to identify, track, and arrest child sex predators. The operation resulted in the rescue of 115 children and the arrest of 205 child sexual abuse offenders in a nationwide crackdown. The coordinated effort was executed over the course of 5 days by all 55 FBI field offices, the Child Exploitation and Obscenity section of the Department's Criminal Division, and the United States Attorney's offices around the country. Rescued 115 children. You know, the media spent days building up the No King protest. The media spent days building up and inflating the LA riots over immigration. I'm sorry. I did not hear one peep of this month-old story until yesterday. And when I went and did an internet search on it, that's not the page. Where is the? Oh, I must have closed it. When I went and did an internet search on it, let me pull this back up again. Operation Rescue. Oh, wait a minute. Uh, Operation Restore. I'm sorry. This is what it shows up. Google. Everything's from the government or local news stations, Instagram. There was a YouTube video there, but most of these things are, local television station, Facebook, Instagram. Where's a CNN article? Where's Fox News? Where's ABC, NBC, CBS? Oh, there's one from CBS.com. One, it's on page 3 or 4 here. Page 3. Again, local news, local news. Where's the major news articles at about this? It's nowhere to be found. Those arrested by the FBI and charged in the Northern District of Texas of Operation Restore Justice include Angel Ramirez Flores, been charged with attempted transfer of obscene material to minors. If convicted, he gets 10 years. Michael Huffman in Fort Worth, distribution of child pornography, gets 5 years and 20 years. A minimum of 5, maximum of 20. According to documents, agents found him sitting in his driveway on his laptop, logged into the platform. Otho Earl London, also Texas, distribution or possession of child pornography. Harold Lee Hill, intent to engage in criminal sexual activity. Life in prison. Jose Lisandro Trevano Rodriguez, distribution of child pornography, 5 and 20. Emmanuel Jacobo Riaz, production of child pornography. Robert Rail, attempted sexual exploitation, possession of child pornography, receipt of child pornography. He could get 70 years if convicted. And that's just in Texas. And that's just a few of the 205 people arrested. This should have been a major news story across the board. All these people should have been convicted, should be, you saw my thumbnail. Here's one of the local stories. Hayward child sex abuse suspect among 205 arrested, and this is in California. Hayward man possessing child sex material. Eric Antonio Contreras expressed a desire to engage in sexual conduct with a 12-year-old girl. They found 1,000 files containing child sexual abuse materials on Contreras' devices. Why'd they crop his face out? Make this man famous. Let us know what these predators look like. There is no reason to allow these people to, well, you saw what my thumbnail said. Okay. Have fun. Enjoy. Get me out a few million or put a few million into my account. All right. We'll go ahead and build a bigger house with a bigger kitchen. a room for a spice rack that holds 100 jars. I love you, babe. You have fun. Are you kidding me, Ramen? We're getting ready to get some rain. That's why I told her to be careful. She's we need to get her car in and get an alignment done. It's starting to pull to the right. My truck pulls to the left and her vehicle pulls to the right. I want to see these people dead. 20 years for distribution of child pornography. That should be 20 years for each individual picture that he was involved with, each individual file. Absolutely. I've got no compassion. Now, according to J.D. DeLay, these guys end up in prison. Their lives are extremely unpleasant. And that's from somebody that has spent more years than he cares to count in prison. He had what, 58, 58, I think, but no, it's more than 50 convictions, charges he was convicted of. So I hope each and every one of them arrested with these things, especially, that idiot arrested on his driveway looking at it on his laptop. I hope they all get exactly what they deserve. You hurt children, and there's no excuse for that. She's also bringing my grandson over back with her. So, going to go out for lunch, get him out of the house. Oh, Spanky. Spanky, calm down. Yes, yes, Spanky, that was the FedEx lady. FedEx just delivered a package. Yay! That means I got some money, got some stuff in that I paid for. Okay, come back up here, Spanky. Come on. You're okay now. They're gone. The mean old lady dropping off packages is gone. So you're good to go. He wants outside. Now he wants to go outside and sniff the ground upon which she walked. Come on. Come on, Spanky. All right. Now you don't want to come out, go out. I tell you, these dogs are nuts. Who know whoever designed animals. You can't sit down there. You gotta give me my space to sit. Hmm. Yeah, you're right, Ramen. Every one of them people. Now, see, those are just the people that we know about in Texas. I looked. I ought to do a quick look to see. Look that up for Florida and see what they did happen in the state of Florida. Let me do a quick Google search on that. Florida. Oh, okay. All right, let's see here. Again, let's see. Nope, it's just a standard. I'm looking to see. Okay, here is a Florida news article. Let's see if they got anybody listed in that. And here is the Florida article. And here we go. Lee Hughes, 45, from Pinellas Park, a third grade teacher, attempted transmission of harmful material to a minor. Hughes communicated with an undercover officer in an attempt to engage in sexual intercourse with the undercover officer's alleged 9-year-old daughter from June of 2024 to May of 2025. Oh my God. A third grade teacher. I wonder what's going on with my. The chat is not keeping up. Okay. Hughes sent the undercover officer 10 explicit photos and or videos of himself with the request they be shown to the child. On May 1st, Hughes traveled to an agreed upon location to engage in sexual intercourse with the child and was arrested. Only 10 years? Well, that's because he's been arrested under federal, not state. DeSantis needs to see about bringing state charges against the SOB. Jonathan Richmond from St. Pete arrested in 2-count indictment, charged with receipt and possession of child sexual abuse material. And that's it. That is the only Florida article I could find. I don't do Instagram, so I can't do the Instagram. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This got so little coverage. And I don't I would hate to say why I think it did. I would be absolutely mortified if what I think is why this didn't get any more coverage than what it had. I would be if my and gut feeling is true. I which is the reason why it didn't get any more coverage is because of who the president is. That the media does not want to give this kind of coverage to Trump, Pam Bondi, Cash Patel, even though a lot of this was done under the Biden administration. The fact that the preliminary work was all done under the Biden administration, so the Biden admin would get credit and a lot of credit for it. The previous admin, but there'd be some credit having to go to Cash Patel and to Pam Bondi because this doesn't happen in a vacuum and it doesn't happen overnight. Operations like this takes years, takes months to do, and I find it hard to believe that these people would. I mean, we're talking about children here. We're talking about children. There should be lots of acknowledgments and praise going around that children were saved and perverts ended up in jail. You would think that there'd be a lot of excitement over that. But no, the whole story is all but buried, which is absolutely disgusting. The stories should not be buried, they should be out there. This should have been talked about for days. Pam Bondi and crew, and yes, even the previous administration had been out there giving interviews about the hard work that they did and what they've accomplished. I'm not, I may not like you. I may not like what you've done, what your beliefs are, but when you do things that I believe are right, you should get the credit for it. I've given I even praised Obama when he went after the pirates down in was that around Madagascar or Somalia? When he when he the pirates down there sent the U.S. Navy after him. I praised Obama for that because Obama did the right thing. So when people I don't like do the right thing, even if it's by accident, let's let's give credit where credit is due. And the media should have been out there singing, talking about this. 115 children rescued, 205 adults arrested. That's wonderful. That's great news. But the stories got buried to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and local news stations. All right. A couple years ago, when Antifa was out doing their thing, they're out wearing masks to hide their identities so that they couldn't. And I mean, even during the college protest this up to this year, all these protesters out there wearing masks while they're doing their damage, setting buildings on fire, taking janitors custody, kidnapping them, taking janitors and holding them against their will, posting vile signs. A bunch of us, me included, when local political leaders pass local ordinances or state laws banning protesters from wearing masks to hide their identity. We thought those are good things. Oh, did you? I am so sorry to hear that. That's my prayers and condolences for your family. Okay, as far as what story, last month 115 children were rescued and 205 adults were arrested involved in child abuse, perversion. I just found out about it last night, yesterday afternoon, and the amount of coverage that story got was absolutely disgustingly low. You would think they arrested 205 people nationwide for wanting to have sex with 12-year-olds, for wanting to have sex with 9-year-olds, distributing child porn, for having child porn, for creating child porn. You'd think that made much bigger news than what it made, but it didn't. I'm thoroughly disgusted with the fact that the media just didn't do it. Left it, found some local news stations covered it when there were local individuals arrested, and found one CBS article, CBS.com article, and that was it. But mostly, if you didn't go to the Department of Justice or the FBI websites, you didn't, you really didn't see much about it. So anyway, back to these masks. Well, now California, there's some people in California, they're upset because the ICE agents are wearing masks to protect their identities because they're being doxxed and their families are being threatened. So, Democratic lawmakers in California want to prohibit law enforcement officers from wearing face coverings following the federal crackdown in Los Angeles anti-ICE protest. Scott Wiener and Jesse Arguin announced on social media they'll be introducing the No Secret Police Act to ban most, not all, most law enforcement members from covering their faces when interacting with the public. The bill would also require officers to display identifying information on the uniforms, like name tags on their helmets. We're seeing the rise in secret police, masks, no identifying info, even wearing army fatigues, grabbing and disappearing people. It's antithetical to democracy and harms communities. The No Secret Police Act would help end the fear and chaos this behavior creates in communities. Now, the exceptions. The legislation wouldn't affect SWAT members and officers who need to wear medical masks during certain disasters, including wildfires. Okay, I can understand wildfires as far as not wearing a mask. But what about the other identifying requirements? Wearing their name tags. And LA protesters, the protesters have no problems. There's no law there about the protesters wearing face masks. They just want the cops to have to wear face masks. Oh, did you? You're 100% right there. The media is an accessory and not. Um, and LA protesters came prepared to the demonstrations with their own face coverings, ranging from medical masks to keffiyehs, the Palestinian scarf. So again, see, I'm kind of torn on this issue myself. Okay, I've seen too many instances where police refuse to identify themselves, even wearing uniforms, because their name tags are conveniently covered up by their body armor that they wear, or they have their hand over their name tag, because they got their thumbs hooked through the body armor and their hand just conveniently covers up their name tag. And when they're asked, to identify yourself, they just turn around and walk away. So, you don't know what they're saying. You don't know who they are. And that makes it awful hard to file complaints against them when they're out there when they openly violate somebody's civil rights. These and I'm all for people having their civil rights and not have their rights violated. But it's like, let's see here. Where's this video that I posted yesterday? Uh, where is this video that I posted yesterday? Let me find this. Here we go. All right, let me kill the audio of this because don't need to hear the drum beatings. This guy here, he's putting his hands on the horse. The officers are yelling at him to get away. Then a ground officer pushes him. When a cop is mounted on a horse, that horse is considered to have the same protections as a police dog has, the same protections as an officer has. And in this situation, that man he got pushed away, and the media is mad that he got pushed away. Media is really upset that the LAPD pushed him after he touched a police horse. Sit, these the officers are trying to control the rioters. You don't touch them. But the media is all kinds of upset about it. And they're using this guy's age. How the cops hurt this old man. Look at all his gray hair, his frail old man. Frail old man shouldn't have been out there protesting. He shouldn't have been out there putting himself in that spot. I've got no little to no sympathy for anybody who puts themselves in a position where they get hurt. Little to no sympathy. You're out there in a mob, acting out like a mob, and you're 60, 70, 80 years old, and you get hurt. That's on you. Now, if you're in your house, you're walking down the street and you're dealing with the cops and they hurt you, that's on them. But you're acting as a mob, that's on you. So did you get me some money?
Yeah.
How much money did you get me? A letter from my health insurance company and and my new Primus. Yay! Important information about my health insurance plan. Just what I need to hear. I don't know if that's good news or not. What's this? Oh, isn't that sweet? She brought me back some money, people. Ramen, did you? She brought me back some money.
Spanky, you gotta go potty? Come on. Come outside and go potty.
I tried to take him out a couple minutes ago and he wouldn't go.
It's raining.
Yeah, she brought me back a whole penny, did she?
Okay, it'll pass.
And there's like 6 raindrops falling and the dog will not go outside. And it's been 5 hours since he's been out. So ah yeah, she gave me her 2 cents worth there. Oh yeah, I'll bet you're waiting on that one. Yeah, I got a phone call the other day. A lady tell me that Florida My Safe plan, Florida Safe, something like that, would be willing to advance me $10,000 to ensure that this house had either good windows or a good roof on it for hurricane preparedness. I said, okay. So she sent a guy out, that the state would pay up to 10 grand to put storm impact resistant windows. Wouldn't cost me a dime. So the guy shows up and he walks in the door and I introduce myself. He introduces himself. And the first thing I say was, okay, now make sure I got this straight. The state is going to pay the first $10,000 for getting these windows done. Not a dime out of my pocket for the first 10 grand. Because depending on how you count the windows, I either have 7 or 10. Because I've got one window that's 3 panes wide, and I got one window that's two wide. And he looked at me and he shook his head and he said, "Listen, she lied to you. That program's been out of money for months. She just gets paid for every appointment she sets me up on, whether I make a sale or not." And he goes, "Okay." So he goes, "Well, do you mind if I go ahead and at least, measure your windows and such?" I said, "Sure." He measured the windows. He comes back in and goes, "Well, it'll be $14,000 because you're retired and retired military. I can give you a discount. I'll bring it down to 10 grand. You can apply for the program, but it's out of money, and uh, so there's no guarantee you'll get your money back." He goes, "But I can. We can do individual windows if you want. If you got a window that you're concerned about, because the vacuum is broken in a couple of our windows. They're double pane vacuumed windows, and the vacuum is broken, so they build up condensation between the panes of glass. And I can get I can get those 3 windows replaced, and they happen to be the 3 biggest windows in the house. And it'd be like $100 a month for 5 years." So I said, the wife and I are actually thinking about it. I mean, $100 a month, get new windows in that are impact resistant. That means then I don't have to worry about sheathing them over during hurricane season. But he was pretty upset about that her little sales tactic. Oh, really, Ramen? Yeah, Dizzy, you're right. She probably was a bounty hunter, just looking for, you know, telling lies just to get her salesman. Because the guy was a good salesman. I'm gonna be honest. He was very personable, uh, very professional, really a nice guy, and and like I said, pay $100 a month, get 5 windows or 3 windows replaced, the 3 biggest windows in the house replaced, the ones with the broken vacuum seals in them. It would be, oh, I should be the bounty hunter. Uh, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Well, it's like back right after Hurricane Michael hit us. I went down and talked to a company right down the road from where I live and asked them if they could come out so I could get the insurance started. And they said, sure, no problem. We set up the appointment and everything. Nobody showed up for the appointment. So I called him, asked him what was going on. They said, well, we see you didn't pay the deposit. What deposit? Well, we want a $175 deposit to come out. I'm like, she didn't. When I came down there was nothing said about having to pay a $175 deposit. Well, yeah, we decided to initiate that deposit when we started getting so many calls because we wanted to make certain that we were at least going to get paid for our time. You couldn't have contacted me in advance to tell me this change? Well, we just got so busy that I was like, oh, so even though I was one of the first people to come down and contact you, I live a quarter mile down the road from your company, I wasn't worthwhile. It wasn't worthwhile to come talk to me about it. Now, the company that I did contact and did show up, and while I got my own problems with the work that they did overall, they got paid over almost $40,000 to for the repairs to my house. So, oh, I remember that show, Ramen. Fight Back with David Horowitz. Yeah, I remember that show. So I won't do business with that construction company ever again. I don't care if they're the only, they would literally have to be the only construction company in town before I'd consider doing business with them. I hold grudges. I really do. It's like I quit shopping at Kmart uh, over Rosie O'Donnell back when she was Kmart's spokesman and she had her own TV show. Yeah, I bet you did, Ramen. I bet you did. So what's this? Oh, here is they are making they're making a movie, a follow-up movie to a movie that no, I mean honestly nobody's ever asked for this. Nobody wants this, but they're making a sequel movie anyway. And here is their teaser. Four Beatle movies? Really? I don't even remember four Beatle movies.
after 40 years, we asked, what do the fans want? But instead, we're making this movie. May the Schwartz be with you.
Fish. Does anybody really need to be seeing a Spaceballs 2? No, I don't even want a Blazing Saddles. Blazing Saddles was great until the last 3 or 4 minutes. I did not. I loved Blazing Saddles up until the ending when that fight scene when the fight scene broke out and went into the studios and everything else. It's like, okay, you just ruined the movie for me. That was totally unnecessary. But I mean, up until that last fight scene, I thought the movie was great. I love it. So I usually shut it off when that fight scene starts. Okay, I've seen what I needed to see of this movie. All right, what do we got here? Oh, close that. Close that. Don't need to see this. Now, this is an article I'd never expected to see. Democrats face backlash over vote to express gratitude to ICE. The Democrats are facing a backlash online after 75 broke ranks to join Republicans voting for a House resolution with express gratitude to ICE and other law enforcement for condemning anti Semitism. The resolution focused on condemning the anti Semitic attack in Boulder, Colorado, where the Mohammed Sabri Solman faced 118 charges. This is the guy that threw Molotov cocktails at people gathered in remembrance of the Jewish hostages still being held in Gaza. And 75 Democrats said, yeah, we'll vote for a resolution condemning the attack. Only 75 Democrats said that they will, condemn the attack on innocent people who aren't doing no damage or anything else, but a guy shows up, wants to throw Molotov cocktails at him. And those 75 Democrats are facing a backlash. Of the 212 Democrats in the House, 113 voted against the resolution. The resolution affirms that free and open communication between state and local law enforcement and their federal counterparts remains the bedrock of public safety and is necessary for preventing terrorist attacks, and expresses gratitude to law enforcement officers, including the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement personnel, for protecting the homeland. A list of the 75 Democrats who supported was shared by Jonathan Cohn, the political director for Progressive Mass, and has been viewed over 500,000 times. Nina Turner, former Ohio State Senator and founder of Strike for All, said under no circumstances should any elected official observe what is happening in the United States and choose to empower and encourage President Trump and his admin to increase armed personnel in our communities. That's not what the resolution was. The resolution was saying, yes, thank you guys for keeping these people safe. Now, sadly, Newsweek here, what people are saying, this Dylan Balaha is a Democrat. Nina Turner is a Democrat. And David Axelrod, of course, is a Democrat. Of course, Newsweek picks 3 liberals to represent what people are saying. Everybody, according to Newsweek, everybody's condemning Trump and the police and saying that you should never praise the police for what they're doing. I'm not in the always praise police category. I'm also not in the always condemn police category. Law enforcement in general, yes, I support law enforcement in general. ICE, I support ICE in general. Same with FBI and CIA and other U.S. marshals and the state and local police, sheriff's departments. In general, I support them. Just like, I obviously in general support the military. That does not mean I always support everything every individual officer does. Because these guys can do bad things on an individual basis. They can be ordered to do bad things, the wrong thing sometimes. But when they do the right things, you praise them for it. When the right thing happens, you praise them. That's one of the things they taught, that's taught in all leadership and management courses. Praise in public, condemned in private. Just a lot of people forget that, you're even supposed to praise. Some people forget they forget the other half exists, They either praise everything or they condemned everything. Oh yeah, you're right about that, Ramen. I that I usually go about 4 or 5 years between phones simply for that reason. I hate setting up a new phone. That's an all day job. So anyway, liberals don't like what they're doing, what the other half is doing, and they uh, they start eating themselves. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not going to worry about that today. What's this here? Oh, uh, the Trump administration. The Trump said he's going to be pulling money from these colleges and universities that allowed the protests to go and being anti-Semitic and didn't take actions to stop it. Well, one of the colleges was Columbia, pulled $400 million in federal funding. Remember, years ago, years and years and years ago, the government, I forget who was president at the time. I want to say it was Jimmy Carter. Decided that any state that did not enforce the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit would lose federal funding for their highways. That's why all the states have got the 55-mile-an-hour speed limits. Because the government says you want the federal funding for your roads, you're going to have a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit because we want you to slow your traffic down so people will live. Fewer accidents and the accidents won't be so bad. So if you want our money, this is what you got to do. And what did the states do? The states said, okay, yeah, we want those federal dollars. So we'll do the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. And that's why even till today, you got 55-mile-an-hour speed limits almost everywhere, 65 on interstates. So it's obvious that the federal government can withhold funding if you don't do what they want you to do. So Trump said he's going to pull funding for these universities if they continue to act in an anti-Semitic way. And he pulled $400 million worth of federal funding from Columbia, saying that it tolerated anti-Semitism. Now, Columbia did come back and say, well, what do you need us to do to get that money back? And they started making changes. Well, the American Association of University Professors and the American Federation of Teachers decided to step in and sue the Trump administration, saying they didn't have the right to withhold that funding. That was a violation of that school's free speech. Well, the judge in New York slapped them down. Said, guess what? You're employees of this school. You are not the school. You don't represent the school. You don't have standing. You can't sue. This is between the administration of the schools and the Trump administration. And they're in talks, and they've been in talks, and they're coming to agreements. So y'all just need to butt out. It's none of y'all's business. And they aren't happy. Now, this just happened, so I expect that they're probably going to appeal, saying that they do have standing. And I'm, and I'll be honest here. I'm trying to be an honest person. The judge is a Trump appointee. And, she has said it's not the role of a district court judge to direct the policies of the executive branch. And besides that, the plaintiffs have not established their standing to litigate this case, let alone any violation of the law. So if they get a I mean, it was a Trump appointee that said it. So, it's going to be most likely a judge who agrees with Trump on some issues. I complain when liberal judges step in, and when Obama and Clinton and Biden appointees step in and tell Trump what he can and can't do. Not sure I complain about this because as a Trump appointee that did it, I think she did. In my opinion, her ruling is correct. She's a district judge. It's not her position to tell the Trump administration what they can and can't do, especially when it comes to handing out funding, in which for decades the federal government has been able to tell states and other people what they can and can't do in order to get federal funding. So I think she's right because it's simply what's been going on for years and years. Oh, is I going to get your picture, Ramen? Were you going to send me a picture? Let's see here. And I think that's it. This in Canada, they found a stone buried under inches and inches and inches of dirt. Somehow, for some reason, somebody's digging around. And they uncovered this stone that had some carvings in it. It took them a few years to decipher the carvings. According to the news article, about 7 years. And when somebody finally deciphered it, realized what it was some sort of Swedish runic carvings. Turned out to be a 1611 Swedish version of the Lord's Prayer. Now that's interesting. In Ontario, outside of Ontario, a 1611, a carving dating back, the guesstimating back to 1611 of the Lord's Prayer, a Swedish version of the Lord's Prayer. All right, Digit, you have a good day. Enjoy yourself. Try to stay out of trouble. And don't let them work you too hard. So they're trying to figure out how in the world this got there and who did the carving. Not necessarily why, because it's the Lord's Prayer. It's obviously religious. But now all this did in deciphering what it was now is just opened up a whole nother can of worms that they got to try to figure out. Which is pretty cool that they've deciphered it. It only took them 7 years to decipher it, but when they did, it's pretty cool that it turned out to be the Lord's Prayer. Let's see here. We talked about the guy, old man, out protesting, getting thumped for grabbing a hold of or for touching a a cop's horse. They're still going after Christy Nome about Senator Padilla. In my opinion, Padilla is the one that wanted the political stunt. None of this is Nome's fault. So there's still, this deal with the guy that was killing the Minnesota judges or the Minnesota lawmakers. That's going to be a story and a half for years. It's going to be a long time before all the truth comes out on that. He supposedly had a bunch of names on the list. So, and really, that's about all I got for now. I got to get ready for my grandson to be coming over to the house. And I want to see what's going to go on there. So, anyway, I want everybody to try to have a good day, enjoy themselves, stay out of trouble, be with the ones you love, and love the ones that you're with. And I'll be back on Thursday. Because tomorrow I go to doctor's appointments in the mornings. So y'all have a fun time now. Bye.